Disclaimer: this video is AI generated for infotainment only. Data sourced from the internet. AI may hallucinate. Verify all facts independently.
In the winter of 2024, a single exam brought a state capital to a standstill. Bihar's biggest recruitment test, the 70th one, was being held across Patna. At one center, it descended into chaos so complete that an official on duty collapsed and died. That center's paper was cancelled. Then came the row over normalization, the fear that scores would be quietly scaled up or down between different sets of the paper. A partial re-exam was ordered for more than 10,000 candidates. But the aspirants didn't want a patch. They wanted the whole exam scrapped, alleging leaks, alleging unfairness. The protests spread. One political leader sat on a hunger strike for 14 days. At the center of the storm stood a body the Constitution had built for one purpose: to guarantee that a job serving the state is won on merit and nothing else. That body now stood accused of breaking the very thing it was made to protect. Chapter 45. The State Public Service Commission. Every state in India has its own watchdog of merit, a commission that decides who is fit to serve it. It is the same idea as the national one you may already know. But it was built with a twist that almost nobody notices. Think of it as a mirror. At the center, there is one National Public Service Commission. Parallel to it, in every single state, there is a State Public Service Commission. They aren't just similar by accident. They are governed by the exact same set of articles 315 to 323 in Part 14 of the Constitution. The same chapter that builds the National Commission builds the state one. Composition, removal, powers, independence, one design applied at two levels. This is the state's guardian of the merit system. So here is what we'll settle in the next few minutes. What this commission actually is, who appoints it, and who strangely is the only one who can fire it. What it does and the limits the Constitution puts on it. The one public service commission that isn't written into the Constitution at all. Start with who sits there. State Public Service Commission has a chairman and other members, and they are all appointed by the governor of the state. Now, the Constitution is strikingly relaxed about the details. It fixes no size for the commission, that's left entirely to the governor. It prescribes almost no qualifications with one firm exception. At least one half of the members must be people who have held office for at least 10 years under the government of India or the government of a state. Insiders who know how the machine works. They serve for 6 years or until they reach the age of 62, whichever comes first. Hold on to that number because it's the first real contrast with the National Commission, where the age is 60. If a chairman seat falls empty, the governor can name one of the members as acting chairman. Now the twist, the line that defines this whole institution. The governor appoints them, but the governor cannot remove them. Only the president can. Not the governor who hands out the job, the president sitting far away at the center, on the same grounds as a national member, bankruptcy, taking a paid job on the side, infirmity of mind or body. For misbehavior, the president can't even act alone. The matter goes to the Supreme Court and its advice is binding. The governor's power stops at suspension, never dismissal. Appointed by the state but untouchable by it. Why on earth would the Constitution split the power like that? That single design choice is the key to everything, and Part 2 shows you exactly what it buys. We ended Part 1 on a puzzle appointed by the governor but removable only by the president. That strange split is one wall in a whole fortress. The Constitution builds around this commission because a watchdog of merit is useless if a government can simply lean on it. So watch the walls go up. First, security of tenure, they can be removed only in the way and on the grounds the Constitution allows. Second, their service conditions once they're appointed cannot be changed to their disadvantage. Third, and this one is quietly powerful, their entire expenses, the salaries, the pensions, the whole staff are charged on the state's Consolidated Fund, which means they are not put to a vote in the legislature every year. No politician gets to threaten their budget. One last door. Chairman who finishes can move up to the National Commission or to chair another state's, but to no other government job. Never a second term. there is nothing left to dangle in front of them. So that's the armor. Now, what does the commission actually do with it? Its headline job is the exam. It conducts the examinations for appointments to the services of the state, the test that fills the state's offices. But beyond the exam, it advises. It is consulted on the methods of recruitment, on the principles for appointments, promotions and transfers, on disciplinary matters against state servants, on claims for legal expenses and on injury pensions. A standing advisor on every question of who serves and how. There's one role that's easy to miss but worth holding on to. When the governor frames the rules for the state's judicial service, the junior judiciary, the post below district judges, the commission is consulted, alongside the state high court. So this body even has a hand in shaping who joins the bench. Each year it reports to the governor, and that report is laid before the state legislature. But here is the catch that defines the entire institution. After all that advising, none of it binds. Every recommendation the commission makes is purely advisory. The state government is free to accept it or to ignore it. It goes further than that. The courts have held that even if the government fails to consult the commission at all, the decision still stands. The duty to consult is directory, not mandatory. Two enormous subjects are kept off its desk entirely. It is not consulted on reservations for backward classes, nor on the claims of the scheduled castes and the scheduled tribes. The governor can even carve out still more matters by regulation, provided that regulation is laid before the legislature for at least 14 days. So this is the paradox at its heart. Fiercely independent body that can advise but cannot compel. A watchdog that can bark but cannot bite. Then there's the exception that proves the rule. Because two or more states can decide to share a single commission, a joint state public service commission. But notice how it's born. The National Commission and the ordinary state commissions are written straight into the Constitution, created by the document itself. A joint commission is not. It is created by an act of parliament made at the request of the states involved, which makes it statutory, a creature of ordinary law and not constitutional. The appointments flip too. For a joint commission, it's the president who appoints the chairman and members, though the term is the same 6 years or 62. It is the one public service commission in the country that the constitution did not create itself. Which brings us back to that exam hall in Patna. Because all this careful armored tenure, the president's removal power, the protected budget, was built to defend against one thing: political pressure, a government leaning on the body that picks its officers. But look at what's actually breaking these commissions now. Not a meddling minister, leaked question paper, normalization formula nobody trusts, a re-exam that satisfies no one. The Bihar crisis was the loudest, but the pattern runs across states: paper leaks, postponements, allegations, protests. That's the uncomfortable truth this chapter ends on. The Constitution armored the watchdog against the powerful. It could not armor it against its own broken exam. A guardian of merit is only ever as strong as the integrity of the test it runs. So hold on to three things. The State Public Service Commission is the state's mirror of the national one. Same articles, same design, one in every state. It is appointed by the governor, but it can be removed only by the president, independent by design. For all that independence, its advice is only advice, a watchdog of merit, now fighting to prove it still deserves the name. We've seen the body that guards who gets to serve a state. Next, the body that decides something even more contested: how the money itself is divided between the center and the states. Chapter 46. The Finance Commission